song means to you.
Well, I have a particular affection for Paul Simon in the first place, but this captures for me what it is for a father to love a daughter and be loved by a daughter. There's a intimacy and power to it which brings a lump to my throat, especially when I talk these days.
Bringing things down to earth with a bump, I mentioned your job. Your last job in the civil service was to be the chief executive of IPSA, which is the body that handles MPs' expenses.
That's right, or even outside the civil service, and we're wholly independent.
Right. Now, we are at the moment watching the Maria Miller story. So just let me ask, we'll go back to the more interesting issue of what goes on in your life when you're diagnosed as you have been. But on Maria Miller, what on earth is going on?
Well, the first thing to say is that the Maria Miller case comes from the system. So we've had calls in the last few days for the expenses system to be reformed. The expenses system has been reformed fundamentally in 2009, 2010, and that's when IPSA took over. So this case is one from the earlier system. It's nothing to do with IPSA. And I think one of the key points to remember about the new system is that we have an independent compliance officer. Now, there haven't been any great scandals under the new system. It's working very well. But should something be found to be not as it should be, then the independent compliance officer will take a view on it. His homework wouldn't be marked by MPs. It would be an independent decision. And if the MP had any difficulties with it, then he or she could go to a tribunal, wholly separate from Parliament.
Okay, so because the thing that's driven people nuts about the Maria Miller story is that she was told she owed $48,000, and then some MPs were asked about it because they're on a committee which invigilated the whole thing, and they knocked it down to $5, and people said, well, of course they would. They must be mates with her.
And I don't want to comment on the particular details of the Maria Miller case, but were such an instance to occur under the new system, and I stress there have been no scandals under the new system. The new system is working really well, and it's saving money for the taxpayer. But were there to be a case which came to the compliance officer, his findings would not be subject to invigilation, as you put it, by MPs. It would be an independent decision. And I think what's really interesting about the comments in the last few days is that when IPSA was created, there was a lot of controversy about an independent body regulating MPs. I think we're through that now. IPSA is here to stay, and external regulation of Parliament is here to stay. And if anything, the tide is moving in the direction, it seems, of further moves towards independent folk regulating parliamentary behaviour.
Okay, and just quickly on the rules, are you allowed to claim for a second home if you stick your parents in it?
Well, it's even a more fundamental change than that in the new system, Jeremy. You're not allowed to claim for mortgages at all. So all the issues around claims for mortgages, flipping and so on, those are all to do with the old system. We got rid of those. We decided they were inappropriate. They no longer happen.
Okay, she made £1.2 million when she sold the house. She told the she told the taxpayer, sorry, the Inland Revenue, HMRC, primary residence, and the allegation
Looks at me like he wasn't told that.
On $1.2 million. Would you take a view on that if that was replicated in another case?
Well, I don't know about the wise and
Fiddling with something of his
taxation
own.
issue, but all I'd say is that the new system wouldn't allow any capital gain to arise because we took the view it was inappropriate for capital gains to be created by MPs having their mortgages paid for by the taxpayer, so we got rid of all of it.
Okay, thank you. Very clear. Andrew McDonald is with us, former Chief Executive of IPSA, the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, but talking very personally here about his illness and the thoughts you have when you may be in the last year or two of your life. And so we've got some amazing calls on this. I'm just going to play a trail and we'll get to your calls.
When I was growing up and trying to listen to records and trying to hear new stuff, it was more or less impossible. And even if it did appear on the radio and you didn't know what it was, then you'd no chance of buying it at any of the record shops in Bolton because you'd never heard of anything. I ain't got that. It was so hard getting new music that I used to tape on an open wheel tape recorder with the microphone in front of the telly, top of the pops. I could hear my grandma and my Auntie Minnie talking in the background. That was the only way I had of getting these songs and keeping them. How amazing then to have playlisting now. So if you're listening to Six Music online or through the iPlayer radio app and hear a track you like, BBC Playlist lets you add it to your own BBC playlist. There it's safe for you to come back to at any time. To find out more, go to bbc.co.uk/playlister.
We are talking to Andrew McDonald. We're talking to you about illness and how it affects your view of life. Jan Seymour in Spalding, Lincolnshire says, my husband passed away from prostate cancer last December. He lived every day to the full. He never worried about what would happen tomorrow. His perspective was, you never know what's going to happen in the future. You've got to get on with your life. Anne is in Clacton-on-Sea and says, my husband was told he had motor neurone disease in 2000. He went completely out of character. He was always very careful with money, but he began to spend it like there was no tomorrow. He was buying things we didn't need. He booked lots of holidays. He's now in a nursing home, even though he was given only 3 years to live in 2000. He's still mentally alert, but his body is paralyzed, and that we know is a horrible, horrible illness. Sonia Sutton is in Boston. Hi, Sonia.
Hello.
Now, you've been given less than 12 months to live.
Yes, I have, yes.
So did you relate?
I was first diagnosed,
So, no, go ahead, tell us.
I was first diagnosed in March 2011 with ovarian and bowel cancer. And sadly, I call it gremlins, by the way. I don't like the word hamper, so I have gremlins. And my attitude is there's always one good gremlin fighting the rest of them. And that keeps me true, keeps me happy. Sadly, in January this year, I was told that my gremlins, as I called them, had gone walking, and they are now in my lungs. And yes, I've been given less than 12 months, but it does not change my attitude. I do live life to the full. I spoil myself. I buy new clothes if I want new clothes. I have my hair done.